Okay, so let's start class today. We have only 2 weeks left before midterm exam. So after today, we have only 1 week left. So time flies so fast. We almost done, the half of this course already. So please go to your chapter 13. We talk about liability, right? So for liabilities, if you still remember, we've mentioned at the beginning, we have three major of liabilities. Depends on uncertainty. Okay, so we've done the current liability already. Right now, we talk to the second one, provisions. Provisions. Okay, on your slide 73. So provisions, 负债准备, what does it mean? It means even though this is your current liabilities, but with some uncertainty. Okay, so what kind of uncertainty we have? We are not sure the timing and the amount. Not sure. Okay, if you remember current liability, what does it mean? Current liability. Go to slide 76 first. Liabilities, if you remember, is based on past event, right? Make you have present obligation. So this present obligation means what? In the future, you have to pay the money back to someone else, right? So we are pretty sure we will have outflow of resources. Means what? You have to pay the money back to someone else. Do are you sure you have to do that? Yes. So like you borrow money from someone else, right? In the future, have you to pay the money back? Yes. So the probability is 90%. Higher than 90% means you have to do that almost. How much you have to pay? I know. I borrow $100. So in the future, how much money you have to pay? $100 plus interest, right? So for your outflow resources, we are pretty sure that's right. This is our liabilities. But today we talk about provisions. What's the difference? Uncertainty. So the uncertainty about what? Timing and the amount, right? So even though still past event, you did something that made you have obligations. But about the future, whether you had to do that or not, possibility is lower. And how much? We are not sure. So the amount still we are not sure. Okay. So uncertainty about the timing and the amount. So we talk about this case today about provisions. Uncertainty on your timing and amount in the future. So go back to slide on page 74. Okay. So provision, we are uncertain on your timing and amount about the future expenditures. So for future, we are not sure whether we have to do that or not. And even though you have to do that, how much? Not sure. Okay, so based on that, that's why also provisions 负债准备 we call it estimated liability. Why is that? Because we are not sure about the timing and amount, right? So for the timing and the amount, you have to estimate. So all the numbers you have is not true, it's your estimate. That's why we also call it estimated liability. Okay? So that's the topic we want to talk today, provision. So did you find out past event, present obligation the same? You did something already. Because of that, right now we have obligations. The only difference is we are not sure whether we have to do that in the future and how much, right? But even though we are not sure whether you will do that in the future, like whether you have to pay the debt in the future, we are not sure. Even though we are not sure, but accounting, because we want to provide useful information to investors, right? So even though we are not sure, we still want to make the information useful. So our requirement is, even though you're not sure, but the possibility should be probable. Okay, so what does that mean, probable? Means higher than 50%. Okay, if you find out in the future it really maybe will not happen, the possibility is pretty low. So do we need to report the situation to investors? We don't need to. Okay, so we only report the information to investors when it's probable. Okay, when the possibility is higher than 50%. Okay, if the possibility lower than 50%, then we will skip it, because maybe the event will happen in the future is pretty low. Since it's pretty low, we don't need to report the information to users. Okay, so first requirement condition is probable. Also, we want to provide useful information, right? So the amount should be reliable. Okay, means what? The amount should be reasonable, even though it's not true, it's estimate, but should be trustable, right? So there's two conditions we required in accounting. Even though it's uncertainty, but should be probable, and amount should be reliable. Reliable means reasonable. Okay. So any condition cannot be met, you don't need to report it on financial statements. Okay. So here is the difference. Only difference is for this part, outflow of resources. First one, but it should be probable. Second one, the amount should be reliable. Okay, means reasonable. So this is the only two conditions we required in accounting. So even though we have some uncertainty, okay? Okay. So on your slide 77, first question, do we need to recognize provision 负债准备 or not? Yes, right? Why? Remember, what is provision? This is provision. So provision's definition is past event, present obligation. Then is probable, and the amount could be major reliable. Okay, any one condition cannot be met, we don't call it provision. Okay, only these three conditions exist at the same time, we will call it provision. Any condition doesn't exist, we don't call it provision. Okay, so when we call it provision, it means it's probable, reliable. So we will record it on financial statements. Okay. Then what if any one of conditions doesn't meet what we will call it. We will call it another one on our last part is contingency. Contingency 或有事项。Okay? So contingency 或有事项 means any one of conditions doesn't exist. Okay, so go back to here. Provisions 负债准备. Do we need to record provisions? Yes. So yes, we will record, provide the information to investors, users. But don't forget, the problem for provision is what? Amount, right? You should have reliable amount. So probable amount could be remeasured reliably. Okay. So second one, before we talk about the second one, so we have a couple cases right here. Warranty. Later we will talk about warranty. What's warranty? 保固. Have you get any warranty from anyone else? Of course. Every stuff, everything you buy, you will get a warranty from the sellers. Like what? Your cell phone, your motorcycle, your computer, your clothes, your water bottle, your desk, your chair, everything you buy, you have warranty from the sellers actually. So have you get the car warranty car 保固卡? You should have, right? So it's quite common case we have for your provision. So provision for the sellers is probable. More likely than not means higher than 50%. Customer will come back to ask what? Ask for the service, right? Okay, my cell phone have some problems. You should repair my cell phone, right? So usually for warranty is probable based on what? Past experience. So whether this kind of thing is probable, whether this kind of things will happen higher than 50% or not, of course, everything based on your past experience. You will think, okay, based on my past experience, past 5 or 3 years, I think the possibility is higher than 50%. So based on this, should we record the provision? Yes, right? Okay. Second case here, still, your company will base on past experience to find out whether this kind of thing will happen or not. So here told you, based on their experience, it's probable. More than 50%. So what kind of things will happen? Goods are returned, 退货. So, do you think based on the experience, usually higher than 50% probable customer will return the product back to you? It still is quite common, right? Because when you sell the 100 products, always, well, some customer will return the product back to you. So this kind of thing still is quite common. So based on this, do we need to recognize, record the liability? What kind of liability you have? You promise customer, if you have some problems, you could return the product back to me, right? So your liability is what? When customer decide to return the product back to you, you have to accept that, right? So that's your liability obligations. So do we need to record the situation? Yes, because it's quite common. The possibility is higher than 50%. So that's why we've mentioned this kind of concept in chapter 8. Do you remember? Chapter 8, when we talk about is true sale or not, we will decide, okay, maybe 30% customer will return the products, right? So what's your true or not 30, 25% in this case? So even though you sell 100% product to customers, but we still will determine true sales 75%, right? Then we will record that 25% what is your liability. What kind of liability? I think maybe in the future, 25% of customer will return the product back to you. So do you have to record the situation? Yes, right? So return liability is your liability. Do you know how much it is? Not sure. So the amount is your estimate, not true, right? But do you have to record the situation? Yes. So we told you my true self is 75%. At the same time, I have a liability. What kind of liability? When customer decide to return the product back to you, you have to accept that because that's your promise. That's your obligation. Okay? So did you find out? Actually, we recall that. So this one in chapter 8, we've mentioned this is your estimate, right? It's not true. So this kind of liability, actually, that's your provision. 负债准备. Why? Because I don't know when they are going to return the product back to you, right? So the timing, I am not sure. I don't know, maybe after 1 month, after 1 week, after 2 months, not sure. Then how much? Not sure. So I could only estimate based on past experience. Okay, 25%. So that's why here told you where you could estimate the level of returns that we will record the situation on your accounting books. Okay, any questions? No problem? Okay, so here just want to show you actually provision 负债准备 is quite common in our life, okay? And when you are not sure about the timing, when you are not sure about the amount, but still it's probable an amount could be measured reliably, then we will report the information to investors, users. Okay? So your sales revenue here told you the true sale. Your liability told you your provisions. Okay? So let's go back to chapter 13. So here is the case we have. Refund liability. If you forgot in your chapter 8. So will we record it? Yes. How about another case? It's about a lawsuit. 诉讼. So about a lawsuit, maybe you win the lawsuit, maybe you lose the lawsuit, right? So your company have to make your own judgment to see whether you will win or lose this lawsuit, right? So based on this case, they find out the probability they will lose the lawsuit. They will lose it and pay the money to someone else. They think the possibility less than 50%. When you find out less than 50% means what? It's not probable, right? Since it's not probable, do you need to provide the information? You don't need to, okay? So you just skip it. You don't need to do anything about this case, okay? So yes, you should recognize provision. But next question is how much? Since the amount is not true amount, the amount should be estimate. So we had to note how much it is. This is your estimate. So means what? You have to estimate it. So how much it is? Since it is not true, it's estimate. That's why accounting standard told you try to get your best estimate. So still, accounting cannot tell you which number it is. Just tell you try to get best estimate for your number. Okay, so best estimate to get your reliable amount. So we have three ways. Maybe you can get your best estimate. And here, another point I want to mention. Did you find out? Try to get your best estimate at which point of time? Statement, financial date. Why? Because this is the date we are going to prepare financial statements, right? So this is the date when you try to report the situation on financial statements on that date. You try to get your best estimate, right? Try to get your reliable amount and report it on financial statements. So don't forget, when we talk about to get your reliable amount is on this date. Okay, why? Because we want to report it on financial statements. So which point of time still very important. Okay. So three options you could choose to get your best estimate. First option is what? Expected value, 期望值. Second option is midpoint, 中位数，中间值就是中位数。Third option is the most likely outcome. Okay, so you have three options to get your best estimate. First is expected value, 期望值. Second is midpoint, 中位数. Third is the most likely outcome. So you choose the most likely outcome to get your best estimate. Okay, so depends on your situations. You could choose either one to suit your case. Okay, so usually what kind of case we will use expected value. Usually you have two or three outcomes, two or three different outcomes, and each outcome have different possibility. Okay, so you have two or three outcomes. Each outcome you have a different possibility. For example, what's that? Warranty 保固. So warranty 保固 usually we have three outcomes. What are these three outcomes? First, okay, customer don't come. Some customers haven't go back to require repair, right? So first outcome is what? No warranty cost means what? Customer didn't come back to require repairments. Okay, so they maybe have 80%. Like you, have you ever go to the store to repair your cell phone? Yes or no? Xiaoji, have you ever? Yes. Heidi, have you ever? Yes. Leah, have you ever? No. Vicky, have you ever? No. How about Fiona? No. Eric? No. 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 Jeff? No. Linda? No. No. Yeah. So did you find out? It's almost like 80%. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 8. Almost 80%. Okay. So others 20% you too. So based on this, you too, when you go back to repair your cell phone, is big trouble or just small trouble? Small one, small one, but maybe someone a big trouble, so they the sellers, the shop have to spend more money on repair. Okay, so that's why three options have different possibilities. Okay, so this is the first possibility. This is second outcome. This is third outcome. So the first outcome is no one will come back to ask me repair their cell phones. Okay. Second one is what? Substantial means what? It's the big repair. Means what? Maybe their cell phone have a big trouble. So customer come back to ask me repair their cell phone. So I had to spend a lot of money, a lot of efforts to repair customers' cell phone. Okay. But still, some customers just come back for what? Small problems. Okay. So it's small repairs. Okay. So when we will use expected value 期望值 when we have only two or three outcomes, each outcome have different possibilities. So based on this, we will use expected value to get our best estimate. Okay. So for example, for no warranty cost, right? So first case, your cost, how much? Is 0, right? Second case, be repair. So means what? You had to spend more money, right? So more money, maybe I estimate is $100 for each case. How about small repairs? I think maybe $10. Okay. So based on this, how to get your best estimate? Expected value, right? So first case, 80% for 0. Second case, 12%. How much? $100. Third case, 8% for how much? $10. So this is how I got the amount. Okay? So how much it is? 0 plus 12 plus 0.8, so it should be 12.8. Okay. So when we talk about warranty 保固, usually we will use this way to get our best estimate to find out our provision, our liabilities. Any questions? How about second option? We use midpoint, median in the range. Usually, what kind of case we will use that? It's like this. Have you learned this figure from your statistics? Normal distribution. Normal distribution. So, did you find out usually this kind of outcome, we have a lot of products, a lot of items. So usually like a what? Grocery store. Grocery store, you have drinks, so many different kind of drinks. You have cookies, so many different kind of cookies. So it's not only two or three outcomes. When we have so many items, okay? And for each item, we have the same possibility. So what does it mean, same possibility? You sell the drink to customers. So only two possibility. What's that? They keep the drink, they return the drink. So for each one, they have the same possibility, 50%, 50%. Okay, so they have a same probability of occurrence. So it's right. Return the product or not. Return the product or not, and the different kind of items. So for this kind of situations, we want to get the best estimate. Should be median, right? Median, median. So your median, median, median is the best estimate. Okay? Why not? Mean 平均数 is better. Median is better than mean 平均数. Why? 中位数 is better than 平均数. Why is that? You can think about it, or ask your teacher from statistics. Median is better than mean. If you look at these three figures, you will find out median is better. Okay, so when this kind of situation, we will choose midpoint, median. The third option to find out your best estimate is when we talk about lawsuit, 诉讼, because it's case by case. So you just look at the individual case. So for your lawsuit, you have only one obligations. So when we talk about single obligation, only one case, case by case, then for this, we will choose most likely outcome. So what does it mean? Lawsuit, we have only two results, right? Success, failure. So for you, you will think about, okay, this lawsuit, if the percentage you won the lawsuit, 70%, the percentage, 30%, you lost the lawsuit. So based on this, what's your outcome? Only one, right? You think, okay, I will win the lawsuit 70%. So what's your expectation? You won, you win the lawsuit, right? So your best estimate is you success. Since you success, do you have the liability? You don't have. So if your best estimate based on this, you think is success, so you don't have liabilities, you don't have provisions, right? So you don't need to recognize any liabilities. What if is another case? If I told you right now your success is 30%, your loss is 70%. So based on this, you will think, okay, your best estimate is what? Choose the most likely outcome. So most likely outcome is, okay, I think I'll lose the low case, right? The lawsuit, right? So your best estimate is you will lose the lawsuit. Then what's the next? You have to record. Okay, I have a provision. So you win or you lose. That's it. Choose your most likely outcome. So this is your most likely outcome, 70%. So you think you lose it. Okay. So usually we have three options to try to estimate our amount, how much for our provisions. Any questions? Okay, no problem. Then let's look at. Here just told you. When we think about best estimate, it's better you think about time value of money. Guys, of course, when you think about the future money, always don't forget to think about time value of money. But accounting, if the amount is not that big, materials, we will skip it. But finance, usually, you will always think about time value of money. Accounting, we will save our time. So when the difference is not that big, won't have a big difference, then we'll skip this part. But here just want to told you, okay, so here told you if materials means the difference is quite big, the amount is big, then it's better you consider time value of money because they will have a big difference. So when we didn't mention time value of money, it's not that not important. Time value of money important. Okay? But we don't mention it because we assume it's not that materials. It's not that big. So we skip it. Also, when we talk about the future technological, when we like a what? Like maybe after 5 or 10 years, you use different technology, right? So in the future, maybe right now we have to spend $100 to repair, for example, your cell phone. Maybe after 10 years, we will spend less money to repair your cell phone. Like we have AI, we have ChatGPT, we have more advanced technologies. So the money we have to spend in the future maybe less than the money today, right? So here just mention if you could think about this, if you could, then it's still there's a factor you could consider. Okay. So here we have 6 provisions we want to mention today. Not today. Today we cannot finish all of yet. So these 6 is quite common provisions we have. Okay. So these 6 we are not sure about the timing and the amount, but still we could estimate. We could, and the possibility is probable higher than 50%. That's why we are going to recall these 6 provisions. First is litigation, your lawsuit. Okay, so here I want to tell you, don't forget, for our first provision, lawsuit, litigations, based on which date? Financial statement date, because this is the date we are going to report our liabilities, right? So if before your financial statement date you have something happen already right here, so your cost for litigation occurred. Okay, so the cause to make you have a lawsuit happened today, right now, before your financial statement date. For example, what's that? For example, sometimes when we have you drive or you ride your bicycle, your motorcycle on the way, on the road, sometimes you will find out have some car accident, right? So if the cause is car accident happened already, especially the car accident is what? You hit. This is you. Then you hit the front car, for example. So this is the front car. So you have a car accident on the road already happened. Okay? But when we have a car accident, it's whose fault? You or front car, usually. Who will have the more fault? who have to take more responsibility, you or front car? Do you know that? When car accident happened, usually it's not only one person's fault. So it's not 100% some person's fault. It's not. So when we have a car accident, usually they will say, okay, front car, you have how many percentage of the fault? How many percentage is your fault? How many percentage is another person's fault? Okay, so it's not 100% on specific person. For this case, they guess usually whose person will have more responsibility? You, not the front car. Why? Because we require you should have a safe distance. So when you drive the car, you should keep safe distance from front car. So when you hit front car, usually that's your fault. Okay, so you should understand that it's not always, it's not. You cannot say, oh, why you front car just stop the car stop the car without any reason. You cannot say that. Why? Even though front car stop the car without any reasons, but if you keep the safe distance, you won't hit the front car. So that's why when these kind of things happened, the police will come and make a judgment who have to take more responsibilities. Okay, so these kind of things happen right now. Then still you have to wait what? When the police report to tell you whose fault, right? So what if you got a report later on, got a police report, okay, to tell whose fault? So based on this, let you guess. You usually you have to take more responsibility. So let me guess. I think probable you have more responsibility. Okay. So if I'm the guide, even though I will get the police report later, but at this moment, I think I should take more responsibility because I didn't keep the safe distance. Okay? So based on this, let you guess. You are the guy. When you should report, you had the liability, you had the provision. When car accident happened today or later on when you got police report. When we should report, we have the liability, we have the responsibility. When? Right now, when car accident happened, or later on, when we got a police report. When? If you understand accounting's logic, like we've mentioned a lot, often which accounting principle we have? Accrual basis accounting, 应计基础会计. Then, when we should report the situation? Accrual basis accounting told you when the event occurred, you should report it. So when the event occurred? Right now. So when we should report, we have this kind of responsibility, liability. Right now, when something happened already, you should report it. Okay? So same logic, same concept for everything. Even though for the first case, litigation, or later on when we talk about warranty, another provision, or we talk about another provision, totally the same. When it happened, your obligation, responsibility occurred. At that moment, you should recall it. Okay? Even though you got police report later on. Okay? So that's why when we should report provision when car accident happened, you should record. When you think it's probable you have more liability responsibility, then you should report it now. So cause means maybe, for example, car accident happened. Okay? At this moment, what you think is probable, a reasonable estimate. So probable means what? You think you have more responsibility. Okay? So you think it's more than 50%. It's more likely you have to pay the money to the front car because you have more responsibility. So at this moment, you will recall provisions now. Reasonable estimate. So let you guess, what is your best estimate? In this case, which number we are going to use? Expected value, midpoint, or most likely outcome? Case by case, most likely outcome. Okay, so we will use most likely outcome to figure out how much we are going to pay for our liabilities. Okay, so you should understand when we recognize, record our liabilities, when something happened already, you should record it. Okay, so here when we record provision in the time period, so this time period is the cause, so the reason the event occurred. At this time period, at this moment, we should recall we have the provision. Okay, so it doesn't matter when you got a police report, even though later on, but when something happened already, you should recall it. Okay, also the probability should be higher than 50%. But remember, probability for the outcome is unfavorable, right? Because we talk about provision, we talk about liability, we talk about your responsibility. Of course, that's the unfavorable outcome for you guys. It's not favorable, okay? So remember, we talk about unfavorable 不利的. Of course, unfavorable outcome means what? Unfavorable outcome means you will have responsibility, right? Will have responsibility, of course, means you will have a liability. Okay? So we talk about provision is about you will have unfavorable outcome. So we didn't mention favorable. Favorable outcome means 有利的. When we talk about favorable outcome is what? It's about your assets. Okay? So about your assets, there's another case. Any questions? Okay. So let's look at this case, then take a break. On your slide 93, here told you your company is involved in a lawsuit. Okay. So this lawsuit, did you find out the keyword? This lawsuit, you have probable, be reliable for. So be liable for, it means what? Unfavorable outcome. So first condition is what? Probable. I know for the lawsuit, I'm not sure the timing, when, and the amount. We are not sure, but at least probable. Okay. And the second is what? Did you find out? We have reliable amount. We assumed $900,000 is my reliable amount. Based on this, then we should record the situation, report the information to investors, right? So what's the journal entry? Debit credit. We record the situation. Debit what? Credit what? We have the lawsuit liability. How much? $900,000. Okay. Also, they will make us have a loss. So this is how we report the situation. After this, you will find out lawsuit liability. Where? On balance sheet. Current or non-current depends on the time, right? So we are not sure current, non-current because for this case didn't told us. It didn't tell us it's current, non-current. So could be current, could be non-current, depends on time. So for this section, we have notes payable, we have lawsuit liability. But you should understand, even though lawsuit liability $900,000, we report on the same section with notes payable, right? But the nature is different. What's the difference? Notes payable, how much? We are pretty sure how much we are going to pay in the future, right? So for my notes payable, we are pretty sure when. So we are sure when and amount. Okay, so we are sure means what? Possibility is 90 higher than 90%. Then amount we know, right? But when we talk about loss liability, you should understand that $900,000 is your estimate. It's not a true number. So there's a difference. So for your second one here, I note this is only higher than 50%. And the amount unknown. But we have to estimate it. Okay? So even though we report these two liabilities on the same section, you should understand actually they have a little bit difference. They are not totally the same. Notes payable, I know how much I should pay back to the creditors. And I know when. But for lawsuit liability, this amount we estimate it. So in the end, how much? Not sure. And we also know the possibility is higher than 50%. But maybe in the future you don't need to really pay the liability. Not sure. We just know it's higher than 50%. Okay? Fiona, what's the question problem? No? Okay, so that's for our first provision. You should understand. Same section. Actually, they have a little bit different. Take a break.